A ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
So my dad died when I was 10 years old. He died of cancer. And my brother was 7, I was 10, and my mom was like in her late 30s, I think. So that was in 2010, and my dad continued to haunt us till we moved out in like 2013, 2014. So pretty much my dad was a really funny guy. He was very quiet and monotone, and like would be like, look at the bird, and like just super monotone but really funny. Like would crack jokes at everything and make up little like joke songs, and like that like stuck with my family for years. So my dad continued to haunt us for the next few years that we lived in that house, and there are so many stories, but I think the creepiest one, that it had to have been my dad, because it doesn't make sense if it was anyone else. So when I was 10, I had gotten a phone because my mom was taking my dad to the hospital all the time to get cancer treatment, and they needed some way to get in touch with me, so they bought me a slide phone. It was like electric blue color, and it was so cool. I think it was called like, I don't remember. I actually don't remember, but it was really cool, and it had flowers on the back. And it had preset ringtones on it, like all the old phones did. My dad had a completely different brand of phone and different style, everything. So his preset ringtones were completely different than mine. There's no way I could have gotten his on mine or mine on his. You see where this is going. So one night we ordered Chinese food. This night was the scariest night of my family's life, because it was just my mom, my brother, and me. And a bunch of things happened this night, which I can go into more, but the creepiest thing that happened, just to save you time, because there's so many of these videos to watch. So we were eating the Chinese food, and my phone's on the table, and I think at this point we moved to the living room, we were done. And my phone just goes off with my dad's ringtone. And I remember when he was alive, I would change it all the time on his phone to like something funny, so that when he was like at school, or like he was a teacher, when he was at school or if he was in public, it would ring, and it would be like a really stupid sounding ringtone. And it was some stupid ringtone, but it rang on my phone. And we just don't even know how that was possible. Never happened again after that. We all were like, that's weird. But yeah, that was the weirdest thing that happened that night. Not the scariest, but probably the weirdest. Scary, in terms of scary, I mean, that night so many things happened, but we had throughout the years multiple things happen that were definitely my dad. So yeah, that's my story. If you want to hear more, just let me know.
It's finally time to tell my story. So when I was an undergrad, somewhere around like 2011, 2012, I went to CarMax, bought my first big girl purchase by myself, no co-signer, you know. It was a used car. It was a 2009 Jeep Compass, and I loved that little thing. So I spent all day at the dealership, and it was late at night. I had to drive back to my dorm, so that was like an hour away, right? By the time I get to the free parking lot, it's already dark outside. I reach in the back seat to grab my backpack, and guess what's staring at me? It was a little Asian girl. Scared the shit out of me. I grabbed my stuff so fast, I darted to my dorm room, closed the door, and when I tell you I was huffing and puffing and super scared, because what did I just see? I know I did not see what I know I saw on day one. So the very next day I called my grandmother. This is very important because my grandma is Chinese and Jamaican. Not to mention she's a medium. She sees spirits and she talks to people all the time. So I'm just like, she gotta have something to do with her, because those are her people. So I asked my grandma, has anybody in our family lost a little Asian girl like that was like 3 or 4 years old? She says, no, doesn't sound familiar. Why, what's up? So I tell her what I saw in the car, and she says, oh, no, she's there to protect you. It's fine. Winter's approaching. I've been walking to work this whole time. Bought a car, hadn't even drove it because I'm scared. Eventually, I talked myself into, okay, just drive during the daytime, maybe talk to her, see if you can get anything out of her. So for a couple months, I tried talking to her, got nothing, no response. She would just stare. She would just sit and look at me. Eventually, I guess I just kind of warmed up to her, like, she's just gonna be here. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is still my car. And anytime I would have people in the car, she would just disappear. Like, she knew what her role was. Fast forward, and this girl has now been riding in my car for almost 5 years. Still doesn't talk. At this point, I'm in grad school at the Med Center. I'm dirt broke, I'm working multiple jobs, and I'm driving for Uber and Lyft on the side, right? The last time I saw her was when I was getting ready to go out to go drive. That night, I got a ride request to go pick up somebody from the casino. Turns out it was my classmate from the Med Center. So we're chopping it up in the car, right? I come across this intersection. It's a four-way intersection, and at the red light, there was an officer sitting there just waiting at his red light. I remember just kind of glancing down, making sure that I was going the right speed limit, and boom, I got hit. It was a big black Suburban. The guy was drunk. And he kept driving after he hit my car, and the only reason why he stopped is because he hit a tree. The officer saw everything happen. It was all caught on the dash camera. I'm gonna just be real with you. That night, should have been dead. Okay, he ripped the whole front end of my Jeep off. It was to smithereens. There was nothing. There was like I can't even explain. Airbags had deployed. I'd never been in a car accident before, so I didn't know airbags were white. I thought I was in heaven, and I remember being so angry because everybody said when you die you're so peaceful. I was angry. I was a telephone operator. I was working like 2 and 3 jobs. I was putting myself to grad school, and I was miserable. And I was just like, God, this is how you gonna do me? Eventually, I come to it because now I hear the girl in the back seat of my car screaming, Larissa, we gotta get you out. Larissa, we gotta get you out. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not dead. Okay. When I stepped out of my car, my shoe was across the street. When I tell you I got hit so bad, my car spun across 3 different lanes. The whole front end of my car was missing. Gone. Smithereens, just smoke. Obviously, the officer runs him down. And then his girlfriend gets out the car. You get off my man. He didn't do nothing to me. You get off my man. And I just remember sitting on the curb like, what just happened? So we start the lawsuit process. Fast forward. About a year later, it's my birthday. Me and my best friend are going to go to the spoken poetry word slam thingamajig. Just because I just wanted to get out the house. You know what I mean? And out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy sitting at a table. And I am so intrigued because I just want to know, what is he doing? He's got like tarot cards. So best friend was like, go talk to him. Like, go get a reading. I said, no. You don't understand. My people are Jamaican. We don't do, I'm not disturbing nothing. Plus, I already know what I know that I don't tell people. So I did this reading with her right by my side because I'm a little nervous. So I sit at this guy's table. He has me hold out my hands. He puts all these little animal bones and trinkets and stuff. And he says, let the pieces fall where they may fall. And he said, by the way, happy birthday. I said, what? How did he know it was my birthday? Oh, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. It takes a while to evaluate the pieces. And he goes, so there's a lot here I want to talk to you about. But the first thing I need to ask you is, tell me about your car accident. I said, got hit by a drunk driver like a year ago. Yeah, okay, what? He said, no, tell me what really happened. I never told anybody about this. I never told anybody about this. What do you mean? To the best of my knowledge, I'm trying to remember exactly everything. And I tell him I got hit by a drunk driver. He was going pretty fast. T-boned my car, but it only hit the front end of my car. I don't know how it didn't hit me. And he said, so what about the little girl that's in the car? I said, I'm playing dumb. Why am I playing dumb? He knows this stuff. He clearly does. I don't know this man. I've never met him. So I tell him, yeah, okay, there's a little girl that's been in my car for, a couple of years or whatever. He said, do you know that she turned the wheel for you? I said, what are you talking about? He said she cut the wheel to save your life because she died in that car and she didn't want you to die. He's right. That was the last time I saw her. I asked him, can you give me more information? Who is she? Why was she here? Is she in my family? There was really no other information. She's not related to me at all. She just didn't want to see me die in that car. So during that reading, he did ask me some other questions and stuff, but he told me, you're a medium and I need you to start acting like it. For the sake of not sounding crazy, I've never told anybody else outside of my mom and my grandma and my family that I be seeing shit, but I don't be saying shit. Nothing it's just normal. But I know that you don't talk about that stuff out loud because it freaks out people. How did he know this? I don't know. He said, you have abilities that can put me out of business. And I need you to really lean into that. Well, he's right. I am a medium. And I'm not that great at it. I'm honestly scared about everything. And I do not trust being in the dark. Side note, I've never had anything evil or wicked happen to me. I've always felt protected. I still feel protected. But if you want to hear another story about how I saved my dad's life by telling him he has cancer, let me know.
I tried to record this and then I saved it to my drafts and went to go check it out, edit it, whatever, and the audio's all fucked. But anyway, basically I worked at a haunted Ulta for 4.5 years. The whole mall was haunted. It has been confirmed to me by security guards that worked there and also my friend who at one point dated the head of security's son, and she got to see some videos that she probably wasn't supposed to see. But anyway, so let's get into it. So the first time I ever thought something weird was afoot was after close, no customers were in the store. I was there with maybe 3 other people, including my store manager. And we're standing there closing down the registers, and I start hearing like someone walking around down an aisle and shuffling of products, like someone's shopping. And eventually I say like, hey, do you guys hear that? It sounds like someone's like shopping. And my manager goes, oh yeah, super casually. And she totally acknowledged it, which is hilarious because down the line, she just told me I was a silly goose for thinking it was haunted there. I'm like, girl, you heard the same shit I did. Well, at least, some of the same shit, because some really weird stuff started happening after that. I guess to the employees I had talked to about it, were telling one of the stylists in the salon about like, oh, did you hear what Jamie said? And blah, blah, blah. And one of the mirrors on one of the little makeup stations just went flying off and broke. So I think that's a good omen, right? Like that's historically a great omen. And then another girl had also told me that she sometimes, like during early mornings before we were open, like during truck or planograms or whatever, that she felt some weird presence in certain areas. And I'm like, I'm going to block that one away in the old noggin, try to remember these little details. But for the most part, people kind of laughed at me about this and made fun of me for thinking, that a makeup store was haunted, which, listen, I don't care how new a building is. If the land has been there a while and witnessed a lot, it's going to hold on to that shit, okay? So in 2 ways. One night, I was closing down a register. I had 2 of my girls in front of me. They're just making fun of me for thinking it's haunted. And again, this is after we were closed. No customers in the store. And as they're standing there just taking jabs, their heads just whip around behind them. And I'm like, what happened? And they said, we just heard footsteps stomping behind us, coming up towards us. And I don't think I remember them making fun of me again after that. Isn't that crazy? The craziest things in my memory that happened there, I feel are kind of connected in a way, or at least kind of show what this thing maybe was capable of, or however you want to look at it, okay? So I had a friend there named Aaliyah, and she was one of the hairstylists. And I was back near the bathrooms one night, and I heard what I thought was her singing in the bathroom. And I'm like, that sounds like Aaliyah. So I'm walking around, and then I see her a few minutes later. I'm like, hey, were you singing in the bathroom? And she was like, no, but I do that sometimes when I'm alone. So you're telling me if it was her, she would have said, yeah, I do that sometimes. But it wasn't this time. So who was that? And that happened like later in during an evening. So there weren't a lot of people in the store. So that heaved my jeeves. But the most heebie-jeebie thing that happened, in my opinion, happened when I wasn't even there. So we had to wear these like little headset things to communicate to each other throughout the store. And sometimes we would get interference, like from Victoria's Secret because they were the same ones. But we could always tell that's what was happening. Like it was always obvious. It was always very staticky. You couldn't make out their words very well. And you could pick up on some keywords that, made you realize Victoria's Secret. So one night I'm driving home, not at Ulta at all. I'm about 2 miles down the road, probably. And I get a phone call from one of the other managers, and she's like, hey, did you leave your headset on? And I was like, nah, girl, I'm almost home, and I have no headset. And she proceeds to tell me that my voice came over the headset. So apparently, one of the girls didn't realize I had left. So she gets on the headset like, hey, Jamie, where are you? I have a question for you. And my voice comes over the headset and says, come and find me, goofball. I always called this girl Goofy Goofball. That was like my nickname for her. And my voice said that to her when I wasn't there. And as soon as she told me this over the phone, my eyes were watering. I had full body chills. I was uncomfy, It still creeps me out to think about. And it's been several years now. Because that means it mimicked 2 people's voices at that point. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that fucking means. So yeah, that really happened. All of it. And it's weird as shit. And it was hard to get people to believe me. And then they started experiencing things and believing me. Because I'm not a fucking liar. Yeah, I may use my free time today to look into the history of the land. Because what?